In the Chinese community, some people say I'm too Canadian. But in Canada, some people think I represent China. So sometimes I wonder, where exactly do I belong? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about something that many people experience but don't always talk about openly: identity. Who we are really. Where do we belong? And why do other people sometimes think they know who we are better than we do? This is something I have been thinking about a lot recently, especially as someone who has lived in different countries and different cultures. And through my own life experiences, I have realized that identity is really simple. Sometimes it's shaped by where you were born, sometimes by where you live, sometimes by how other people see you. And sometimes those things don't match at all. So today, I want to share a few stories from my own life that made me think deeply about identity. When I was studying for my master's degree in China, I had some schoolmates from other countries. Most of them were from developing countries. They were intelligent and hardworking, but they were really struggling with the Chinese language. Sometimes they couldn't fully express themselves in daily life. Sometimes they misunderstood things because of language barriers. Back then, I remember feeling sympathy for them. I thought about how difficult it must be to live in another country and speak a language that isn't your first language. At the same time, I also felt a little lucky. Because China was my home, Chinese was my first language. I didn't have to go through those struggles. But life has a funny way of teaching us lessons. A few years later, when I moved to Canada, suddenly I realized something. I had become those schoolmates. I was now the one living in another country, speaking another language, trying to adapt to a different culture. And in that moment, I truly understood their experience in a much deeper way. Later, when I studied in a college in Toronto, I took a class about identity. One moment from that class really stayed with me. One of my classmates, a black girl, shared her personal story. She talked about growing up and experiencing discrimination simply because of her skin color. As she shared those memories, she had tears in her eyes. The classroom became completely silent. For me, that moment was very powerful because it made me realize something important. Identity is not just about how we see ourselves. Sometimes it's about how society sees us. And sometimes people carry pain from experiences that others may never fully understand. That class made me think more deeply about how identity affects people's lives. In recent years, I have also experienced some identity struggles myself. Recently, I shared a video online. In that video, I expressed my opinion about Canadians' sovereignty. As a Chinese Canadian, I strongly believe Canada should make its own decisions as an independent country. I was reacting to a post from someone online who said she hoped a foreign political leader would free Canada. That idea made me uncomfortable. But what happened next surprised me. Instead of discussing the topic itself, one person left a moment against the Chinese government, directed at me, as if somehow I represented the China government. And that made me feel both upset and sad. Because it showed how easily people can make assumptions about someone's identity. Just because I'm Chinese Canadian doesn't mean I represent a government. People are individuals, but sometimes people forget that. I had another experience in a Facebook group. I shared something positive about Canada and talked about why I appreciated living here. One person replied with a comment that stuck in my mind. He said, "You have only been in this country for 5 minutes. What do you know about Canada?" Of course, he didn't literally mean 5 minutes, but the message was clear. In his mind, I wasn't qualified to talk about Canada, but that made me think about something interesting. How long does someone need to live somewhere before their voice matters? 5 years? 10 years? A lifetime? And who gets to decide that? What makes identity even more complicated is that sometimes you don't fully fit into any category. For example, in some Chinese communities, people sometimes say, I'm too Canadian. They think my way of thinking is not very Chinese. But on the other side, there are also people in Canada who look at me and only see Chinese, especially people who have strong negative opinions about China or Chinese culture. So sometimes it feels like standing between two worlds, too Canadian for one group, too Chinese for another. And I know many immigrants or people with multicultural backgrounds experience the same thing. But over time, I have come to accept something. Identity doesn't have to fit neatly into a box. You can be influenced by more than one culture. You can love more than one place. You can change and grow over time. And that doesn't make you less authentic. In fact, it might give you a broader perspective on the world. At the end of the day, identity is not something that other people should define for you. It's something you discover and shape through your own experiences. I'm curious about your experience. Have you ever felt caught between different identities or cultures? Or felt that people made assumptions about you based on where you are from? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.